This is cross-platform mobile apps with Amazon Web Services. Really, this is AKA AWS for the C# and Xamarin developer. So, before I introduce myself, we got to get some crowd participation here. How many people have written anything in AWS in C# ever? A few. Okay, this is very good. Okay, just a few. How many people have attempted to write anything with Xamarin in AWS? We have, okay, still a few. Hey, you tried it, I want to hear about it, that's fine. All right, well, okay, that's a good start, so you are in the right room. All right, so I'm Tara Walker. I am a technical evangelist for Amazon Web Services. And for those of you guys who are from the South, I cannot save your soul. This is just me being a technical geek. So if you saw evangelist and thought I was going to do the baptism, you're in the wrong room. All right, now that we got that out the way, let's talk about some Amazon Web Services. All right, my clicker app works. So here's your mobile app. And Amazon Web Services definitely wants to support the mobile ecosystem. Now, as I've been matriculating around here, I hear a lot of things going on. So this is why being low to the ground and short, you can kind of maneuver between things and hear some things going on. And a lot of you I've heard say, oh, I didn't know AWS was doing anything with mobile. Or, do they actually support C#? Well, I am here to tell you that is absolutely correct. And how do we support C# and how do we support mobile in Amazon Web Services as your cloud backend? Well, we have the ability to synchronize data. We have a service that just does that. Synchronizes across devices, synchronizes across apps if you so desire. So we have the ability to dynamically scale and synchronize across a myriad of different devices. We also have the ability to authenticate your users. So you really like that new Google Plus thing. Guess what? We support that for you as well. So we have some services that allow you to authenticate across that. Is that a big deal? Does everyone do that? Have a surprise for you. We do one more thing with that, then possibly you don't know. All right? So share and store media. This is a great story here because you have unlimited data storage in our services. You can share and store shared data. So you want to share data across multiple servers, multiple operating systems, multiple. We have it there for you. How about send push notifications? And this is a common scenario, but what I'm finding is people don't understand that we support not only push notifications, but push notifications for the myriad of devices that you desire to develop on. And we're in the right place for that, right? Developing on many devices. And finally, if I move out the way, you can see we have a tracking of retention, and we have some analytics that is built into our services. So if you want to analyze user behavior and analyze those at scale, whether it be an app or a game, we have services that will do that for you as well. And finally, if you want to stream real-time data in your app, again, taking that load off of the CPU of the mobile device, we have something for you. It's Prego. It's all in there, all right? So Amazon Web Services, we have a myriad of different things there for you. Great, excellent. Now, the final thing I'm going to mention, especially given that there's a lot of talk about security. Security is a top priority at Amazon. And so one thing that we could not leave out in developing a mobile strategy or mobile services story is how do you securely have mobile services in the cloud, right? So now you got the big overview. Let's talk about something here. What are the services that do that? So, has anyone even heard of what Cognito is? One person in the back. Am I alone? You're my only soul friend back there? Okay. James, where are my things to throw? I have no things to throw. All right, so Cognito is a feature of the mobile services offering we have that is used to either identify or authenticate your users or sync your user data across various mobile devices. We have what we call the IAM service, Amazon Web Service, Identity Access Management. We have the mobile analytics. We have SNS, so mobile push. So if you've used anything about Amazon Web Services before, you're probably familiar with Simple Notification Service. We now have that specifically for your mobile devices. We have DynamoDB, and okay, DynamoDB has been around for a while, big deal, right? We have a specific object mapper for DynamoDB that's designed for you as a developer in mind. So I want to sync that JSON data, I want to convert those things into my own custom classes, and I want to do that really easily. I mean, I'm a developer, right? I don't want to write a lot of things over and over again. I'm a little bit lazy. And we have that for you as well. And then Kinesis. So, James, I'm going to put you on the spot. You got to throw that if someone gets this right. Ready? Who can tell me what Kinesis is? Yeah, it's on the screen, but anyone can tell me what Kinesis would be used for. Anyone? Bueller? Bueller? Okay, so I guess I am keeping it. Thank you. I missed it. So I'm keeping it. All right, so let's say you have this cool new game. It's the latest, it's the greatest. You want to stream these real-time media services, all these great things. You want this new content to come out. How do you stream that seamlessly to this mobile device? How do you also record things that is happening in your mobile device? Lots of things we have that. So Kinesis is something we want to make sure you guys know about. It's brand new and we'll talk about it. All right. Now, what are the tools of the trade for this? We are in a C# conference. We love C#. It's our favorite language. What are the tools of the trade for .NET? Now, AWS SDK for .NET, if you guys are familiar with AWS at all, you know that that's been there, right? Hopefully you know that's been there. I'm not saying anything new, but we'll see. It supports Windows Phone 8 and Windows 8, so that's there, right? No big deal. We have an AWS toolkit for Visual Studio. It's baked in there. I can dynamically create my DynamoDB tables, my S3 tables. I'm going to actually demo that within Visual Studio. You never have to leave. You also have the built-in samples that help you get up and running with your code very easily. I want to start a DynamoDB. I need to get this object map very easily. You click on the right project. We already have that embedded in there. And we also have what I just talked about, the AWS SDK for mobile services. All those services I just did my spiel about is in there. And there's something else. But first, let's do some demo time. Yeah. Got to hit the cliffhangers, right? All right. So let's talk about Visual Studio. And that's I don't want code yet. Got to crawl before we walk here. All right, so we're going to start up Visual Studio, and we're going to talk about AWS embedded into Visual Studio. So that's where we're going to live. Hopefully, Xamarin Studio will live with us one day as well, but hey, who am I to know? I can create a profile here, and I'm going to go out and actually expose my keys. Don't worry, I'm going to delete them for you. I can create a profile here that once I have an Amazon Web Services account and an access key and a secret key, and I'm hoping that you all will actually build this securely, where you actually have what we call temporary identities, or either using Cognito, and we'll get there. But I can actually embed this into my Visual Studio. And why does that help me? Why do you care? Because as I'm testing and debugging and things of that nature, I can literally say to Visual Studio, hey, test with this profile. So if I have a specific profile for, hey, you can get to this bucket, hey, I can get to this cloud services, I can do these various things, I can actually have a profile set up for that within Visual Studio. And instead of embedding those, I know you guys do it, the secure key, the access key, the secret key, the whatever key you want, I know you embed in your code. Come on, let's all be real here, you do it. Instead of doing that, and then having it go out someplace that you don't want it to go, you can actually just access your profile to authenticate in a debug mode. So that's really baked in there, so that's great. So let me go out and show you my keys that I'm going to totally delete right here, but I'm going to embed them in. I'm going to totally delete them, so I don't care if you see them, you're taking pictures of them, it's okay. They're going away anyway. All right, so we're going to take this key. If it wants to copy for me, that would be lovely. Okay, let's try that again. All right. I'm going to take that key. I'm going to put it in there. And then I'm going to take this key and put it in there. Now, my account number is the only thing that I will say I would be wary of if you guys are doing this in tandem with other developers. This is to make it easy for you as a developer. But the best thing is to do not to put your account number in here if you can help it. So this is not a best practice. I am just doing this for you as a demo. And now I have it on record. They're filming me that I said do not do this. Plausible deniability, okay? I can put my now account number in there or one that you've created for a specific role and then emulate that. I actually am not going to do that live in person because I was using my real one, so we're going to hit cancel on that, and I'll show you the actual one that's already made. So while I go back to the slides, I'm going to put that in. See, I'm smart enough to actually not do it while you're looking at it. I'm going to click and I'll go back in and put that in so I can show you how to build it in a minute. So I now showed you how to get in Visual Studio. I'm now going to build some of these services within Visual Studio. So let's pick one. We have Cognito, we have Mobile Push, we have SNS, we have S3. What if I want to quickly look at an S3 bucket or quickly create a DynamoDB table? How am I going to do that and not go out to the server? This is an opportunity to do that in Visual Studio. So let me do that now. Again, hiding from you guys great, it's not showing it. I'm doing good. Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and paste that in while you can't see my ultra secret account number. And while I'm doing that, any questions so far? We've just scratched the surface, so I haven't talked about a lot, but I believe in you asking questions when you're ready. So far I've been so transparent that you guys get this already, right? It's so easy, you don't even know why I'm still talking, right? Okay, well, I'll take that. I'll believe what I want to believe. So, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and put this in. Click OK. All right, so now that that's in, let me see if I can go back easily to Visual Studio. Don't know why it does not want to go back for me. That's interesting. One more time. You can't act up. We're recording. Be nice to me, computer. All right, let's see. There you are. Okay, great. All right, now that we have finally put that key in, did it take it is the question. Great, okay. All right, it's not playing nicely, but that's okay. We're gonna keep it moving. I'll come back to it when it wants to play with me. And show you that, I'll come back. It's not playing nicely. So let's go ahead and click and go here. All right, so I will definitely show you more about this when it actually plays nicely. And we're not clicking. And we're not going. And it doesn't like it. Let's try it again. Oh, so nice. Something went wrong with PowerPoint. Oh, okay. Something really went wrong, and it went wrong again. Okay. Well, that's a very interesting proposition. Yeah, PowerPoint doesn't like me. And luckily, it's not my machine, so I can't say it's my this is not my box. So if it went wrong, it's not my fault. All right, while they're fixing that, let's talk about Cognito. And once that comes back out, we're actually going to go into the server and set up an identity pool. So what is Cognito? So Cognito has two main workloads for it. One is identity, and one is sync. What I'm going to show you is we're actually going to go into Cognito, and we're going to build an identity pool. And what you do with that is, let's say you want to have your users not only have the ability to authenticate with Google devices, Google+, Facebook, log in as Amazon, and now just recently your own authentication manager. What if you could take that token, that credential, and then instead of all these access keys and all these roles, actually log your customers in to Amazon Web Services for the service you're providing with that token? Well, that's what Cognito provides for you. So I can authenticate with Google+, and now I can say, hey, they want to play this new game out there. They authenticate with Google+. I have their information back. It caches that in a nice little hash key. And then I can actually log in with that token, not to Google Plus that you expect, not just to Facebook like you would expect with that authentication, but to the cloud services that are running on Amazon Web Cloud, giving it a specific, and we'll see in a Cognito when we get back up and running, specifically in Cognito, I can say for this Google Plus person, these are the roles that they can emulate. And so that's just another thing your users don't have to remember for an ID, password, and things of that nature. Still no screen. The old blue screen of death, but it's white. Okay, so we're gonna keep going. See, I can work with this. And I'm gonna ask you guys some questions. Oh, that went black, that was good, shoot.
So if we put our service on AWS, then we can use the same?
Yeah, now that has just come out, brand new. I'm telling you stuff that just came out. I see it, Tom, 2 days ago, 3 days ago? Yep, see, I mean, brand new. So you're getting breaking news. That you can roll your own authentication providers now. That was not available prior to last week. And so I don't know if it's fully in release, but they did announce it last year. So I'm not saying anything that you can't read yourself. So check that out on our blog. Just start.
How much does AWS account cost?
Great question. There are various, like every other cloud provider, there are various pricing models based upon you consuming what you need. So the cloud, right, it's a pay-as-you-go model, on-demand model, and so you pay for what only you consume. Thank you. And therefore, you need to go. We have a great tool called the pricing calculator. Go and calculate, I need this for this level of demand, and then you can get your price. So I can't give you a specific price because there isn't one. It's for you.
Is there any trial period that we can do?
Absolutely. Great. See, we set this up. Did you see that? We set that up. Absolutely. As a developer, we have completely free trial. Go out there right now and try out AWS Web Services. You will go to the site, I'll show it at the end, and start up a free trial. Try it out, start some services up. Absolutely, you do have that. We also have some free training since we're on that mode and we just got back up. We also have free training, self-help training that you can get up and speed very quickly to see how would this work in your infrastructure, okay? All right, set up Cognito identity. We actually have this up. Now, PowerPoint, don't do me wrong. Here we go. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that doesn't look pretty good. It stopped again. I just need a plain old Prussian browser. Did you guys do this on purpose? It was come on. I just need the browser to come up. Browser coming. Yes. Any more questions while we're waiting for the computer to play? Great question. So Twitter would be one of those authentication services that would be one that would be custom for you. So Twitter just used OAuth 2, right? Very strongly, in fact, since last March, they do. So you would actually then, therefore, go in and do your typical OAuth 2 authentication and then pass that token in.
So you can have multiple OAuths tied to the same app, not just so you can have Twitter and still have something custom go to your own database.
Okay, so let's see, because now we have the browser back up. Okay, finally. All right, so let's actually go into Cognito and create an identity. So obviously I have a bunch of identities up right now for myself. There's a snake game that I have running that I want the users to be able to authenticate with multiple typical client devices. I have an authentication test for the new stuff coming out, but let's just build one ourselves here, right? So what's great about this, come on, you can do it. There you go. I'm gonna create a new identity pool, right? So I'm gonna name it some random thing. Let's say, I don't know, Evolve ID, because I guess that's where I am. And you have probably, if you're writing an app, you have an app ID associated with when you log into Amazon, you have an identity there for your developer account where it says this is identifying as something that I'm providing as a service. You would do the same as for Facebook for your app ID. You do the same as Google Client ID. Then you see developer authenticated identities. Like I said, this is brand new. This just came out last year. So, last week. If you want to do your Twitter account and you've developed a OAuth client that you want to use for your developer authenticated identities, you can actually put it there. So if I want to name it Terrace Twitter OAuth, I can put it there and then set that up so when it logs in, it handles that token for you. All right? So I'm going to make up some numbers here, which don't exist right now, right? There. And let's say Facebook was a bunch of numbers and Google was their typical user content Google. And I've created a specific logon service, so my logon. Now, let's say you don't know how to do this. This is brand new for you. What's great about this is we actually give you, while you're in the thing, how do you authenticate your own identities? If you're not using the typical OAuth 2, that's going to give you that token because that's what we accept, we can show you how to morph your authentication to what you need for Amazon Web Services for the token. So that's available to you. Okay, so let me just put a dummy one in so I can move forward. All right. Now, let's say that for this game, you want the users to have the ability not to log in. Let's say it's my snake game. Some people want to log in because they want to share their scores across everything and tout how great they were on the new Xbox 3, 1, 4, 10. I always pick on my son because he always says, Mom, you don't know the right thing to say about the games. I was like, I just buy them. So let's say you want to share these things across these various gaming houses, right? And you want to log in. Well, what if you don't? What if you just want it on your mobile device, you're bored, you're at the doctor's office, they're taking too long. You want to make sure that these people can also play your game. You don't want to force authentication. There's also an option there for Cognito to say, how do you handle unauthenticated identities? So let's say in your game, if you have authenticated, you get more features in than you would if you did not authenticate. This is a great way to do things like, hey, I can provide different services for people that authenticate with me than those who do not. So I'm going to just click this just to show you, and it's going to create an identity pool. Now, once it creates this identity pool, I get to give it a identity role, an access role, of what I want it to have. And what Cognito will do for you, it'll give you a default role, or you can create your own custom role. So we won't go through all of this today, but you can set up a role just for unauthenticated identities. So if I'm unauthenticated, I can't get to these cool new pictures that are on S3 that I put out there for just the authenticated people. Or I can't get that latest data from ESPN to see why I'm doing so poorly in my fantasy football team. Yeah, I can't get that because I'm unauthenticated, right? So you can actually set this up based upon your user base. So I'm going to leave that as it is. You also can preview the role. I'm going to skip. And finally, once you complete this, you can actually download starter code for Android and iOS to have these things already ready for your app. And it also shows you it here. So right now what I'm showing you is a part of Amazon mobile services, okay? All right, so let's go back to the PowerPoint. So we set that up. And let's go here. It is super easy to integrate this functionality in your mobile app. So we're integrating Cognito Sync. The functionality, as I said, is dead simple. You pretty much have 3 steps, and this is whether you're doing it with iOS or whether you're doing it with Android. You initialize the client. You open the data set of the key values that you want, key value pairs, and you synchronize the data. Those 3 things work very simply if you want to sync your data. So I've gotten authenticated. I now want to sync my data across devices. I have 3 steps, and I'm up and running with those 2 functionalities. My clicker, voila. So let's talk about Amazon DB. What is Amazon DB? This is where you talk back to me so I don't pretend like I'm in an empty room. NoSQL database. Yeah, not rocket science there, right? So Amazon DynamoDB, NoSQL database. And I want to track high scores. I want the performance. I want things of that nature. How many of you guys have actually used Amazon DB? A few? All right. How many of you know that now we have an object mapper. So for all of us that are developers, we know we follow good data model practices if we're using MVVM. What do? I go out, I create a entity, a model that emulates what I want to provide for my data, right? That's the good best practices. And then I have to write some level of mapping between my model, my view, and my view model. That's what my view model does for me. What if I had an object mapper that said, okay, I have this data, I want you to morph it based upon these rules that is a really powerful scaled model instead of just code you wrote that says, okay, every time you get this, automatically do it for me, give me back the object, and I'm ready to go. That's what the new DynamoDB object mapper does for you. So you have something that actually will map your client-side classes to Amazon for it, let it do the power of that conversion for you as a simple API, and that's some code that you don't have to write. Still following our MVVM models. So I have this bookstore. I write this code for it. I give it an attribute for it, and I'm ready to go. This code's now much more familiar to our MVVM model. I have a book. You didn't see any code happen where I had to translate from what it would have been, let's go back really quickly, bookstore onto something else. I literally just put an attribute that said, hey, bookstore to book, you figure this out, and then now I just want to use those values. So that's the new DynamoDB object mapper, right? Following good practices of things like MVVM. All right, S3. S3 is a great story for Amazon Web Service. You have unlimited data storage of any type of object you want. So you want to put pictures in there, a ton of them, unlimited data. You want to put music streaming files. Better yet, you want to put your HTML files for your website on S3 and then render them dynamically without even uploading them to a service. You have the ability to do that with S3. S3 is very powerful, and speed is phenomenal there. But that's great, whatever, Tara, the speed, we've heard all this before. How about the reliability of this? This is really a durable service. So you have no limitations on the objects you put in there. You have no limitations on the types or the amount, and then therefore your objects, instead of trying to store things on your device, can quickly get there by using something simple like HTTP. So we have these great BCL classes that do HTTP client. You can leverage these now to get data back very efficiently. Again, this is just storage for the internet. Any kind of data, any kind of format that you want to be able to be used. And that's great, but how do we do that efficiently without you writing all the code to do that? Enter in another service that was added for our mobile platform called S3 Transfer Manager. So, what happens with photos? We have to worry about bandwidth. Are they connected? How many of the bytes have gone down? Am I going to use a background transfer service? And all of those things you're writing, right? All of us have done the great writing the background tasks, trying to make sure they're efficient, checking for the network connections and things of that nature. How about if there's a service that would do this for you? Track the progress of things coming down, have a pause, resume functionality that you can add into your apps. What about if it optimizes the download of these pictures, these files, these streaming media for the performance that is on your device at this time and the bandwidth that you have without you writing this code? And that's what the great thing about the Amazon S3 transfer service is. It's for mobile devices specifically for that scenario that now we don't have to write that code. So that's the Amazon S3 Transfer Manager. Now, the one thing that's not on the slide I want to make mention of, let's say I have this great NoSQL database. And as a point of reference, it has all these data and descriptions about my pictures. Well, typically what would I do? I would have to tie those together. They've added an API that uses S3 link where it says, okay, in my database, I know I need a picture, and my picture is stored in S3. And instead of me writing that code to negotiate between the two, there is an S3 link that says, hey, this file is linked to S3. You efficiently go get it. You efficiently use a transfer manager, and you efficiently bring it back. So in my app, that's code, again, I don't have to write. Again, lazy developers trying to be efficient here. So how do I do that? That's the code. That's it. Really simplistically, versus the code you would have to write to do something this complex. Any questions so far? Sure.
Are these transfer operations asynchronous or synchronous?
Great question. So are they asynchronous or are they synchronous? They are actually both. So we have the ability to write against these asynchronously, taking advantage of, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself and telling some things. Well, just say, I'll say this first. You can do them both asynchronously and synchronously. And I'll indulge that in a minute, so bear with me. Any more? Yeah, shoot.
How do you actually use this classes? Do you usually have a NuGet package, or is there like a reference that you have to add? I tried to use this in the past. It was almost impossible to add like a reference in like a mobile project and stuff, like Android project or iOS. Do you have a way to add like a reference so you can use this stuff?
Yes, and you're kind of creeping onto where I'm going, but I'll say this. Yes, he asked the question, is there a way to easily reference these things? He said before there was a challenge, so is there a NuGet package or something easy for him to leverage these? The answer first is yes. We do have these things available in NuGet. If you're using Android, there's obviously, we have the jar files. You have various ways to download them, but we're talking about C# today. So C#, yes, we do have a NuGet package. So it leans toward all of us who love C#. You have a NuGet package to leverage this. You have another one? Go ahead.
No, I'm not sure like where it is though. I've never been able to find it.
Ah, okay. So,
I can stop it afterwards.
yeah, we'll talk afterwards. But for all of you guys who wonder how to find it, simple, AWS. So I guess most people may be searching on Amazon, not sure. But if you do AWS and SDK, you will find it on NuGet very quickly. Yep. Any more questions before I click my clicker? And we're clicking. Oh, wait, in the back, yes? So for the S3, because it truly is just storage, it is going to be an upload and a download for the transfer. Now, you obviously can write things to extend as you want to, but this scenario is truly an upload and a download. Good? All right. Yep.
Does it handle connectivity disruption?
Great question. So yes, so you saw how it had the progression. You can pause and stop. So obviously what you would want to do is still do a little bit of intelligence of, hey, if it's pausing, hey, if it's stopping, hey, if I get this bandwidth latency, trigger something to happen, right? You still would probably want to put that in there just to be due diligent. But it does handle a lot of those scenarios for you. Any more questions? Going once, going twice, we're clicking. All right. The last thing I'll talk about before I have my announcement, if you will, is simple notification service. So all of us know this exists in multiple types of services before. What's different about this is you can now leverage this service, and instead of going, okay, I have to now go against, okay, Apple push notifications, I got to write that for that. Okay, well, wait a minute, what is Android doing? Wait, okay, I'm doing Windows Phone 2, so I have to use WPNS. What if you could take one service that said, hey, you're targeting mobile devices, I'm going to push this data out in queues, and it will handle some of that negotiation. And so you'll see here, whatever type of notification service you want to use, we support it. And it is really the industry's first where you're really not having to worry about the different desires of what Apple's push notification service wants you to have. Or, okay, well, what about us, Amazon? We have a notification service. We might want something a little bit different. You don't have to worry about those things with SNS. You can set these things up now to say, hey, I want this mobile push to go out to my subscribers. And in doing so, I can absolutely leverage this without writing the code that would be necessary to do it. So I'm going to go a little bit faster because I'm getting the hurry up thing. Really quickly, Kinesis. Kinesis is a recorder that also leverages tying to S3 and Redshift. We talked about some of that streaming. I will kind of glance over this really quickly because I want to get to what was the and. So in my first slide, I said you had all these mobile services, and that's hooray, but we're here at a cross-platform conference for Xamarin. That's what we're here for last time I checked. So what was the and? Well, the and is that we're introducing the AWS SDK for Xamarin. It is in beta and was published as a, see, that's why I said you're getting ahead of me. He's trying to steal my thunder here. It is launched actually on okay, so let me put it is in beta. Be nice to us. It was launched on GitHub on yesterday. You will see a NuGet package come out by next week for this. This is again in beta. So please play with it, give us feedback so that we can enhance this. But this is a pre-release of the Amazon Web Services SDK for Xamarin. Hey, we couldn't be in a Xamarin conference and not support Xamarin, right? C# rocks. So it has cross-platform support. It works within Visual Studio. It supports portable class libraries and everything you can think of that you want to do as far as what's supported for Xamarin. So you want to do Fire OS, you want to do Android, you want to do iOS, you want to do Windows Phone, you want to do Windows 8. We have it. It's covered. So please definitely leverage this. This is in C#. It has all of the features of what our mobile SDK would do for iOS and Android and the Fire OS that we didn't have for the whole gamut, and allowing you to write C# across those platforms. Trying to steal my thunder. All right, so let's demo, and I know I only have, I didn't realize this 45 minutes went really quickly. Just to show you that this is an assembly in, okay, be nice. Yeah, it's doing it again. I'll creep out, you creep in. This was really planned. We wanted to get like a lot of exercise while I was up on stage. And so we switch out this way. All right, so while he's doing that and waiting for Visual Studio to come back to me, yay. All right, it's back quickly. Aha. Okay, so I have very little time, so I'm just gonna go over this really, okay, see, I got the, hurry up. All right, so let me just show you quickly how you would leverage this. And then we will go from there. So as you see here, I have a shared forms application, a Xamarin Forms shared forms application. And on the screen, you see that I have Evolve Demo Android, Evolve Demo iOS, and then the Windows Phone. So leveraging the latest in Xamarin in the 3.0. And you'll notice that in this code, in C#, I am leveraging the Amazon namespaces. And this is going to run across platform. This is a binary implementation, and I'll show you that I'm not making this up. It's not demoware. Where if you look at the references, you'll see AWS SDK X Mobile. So I'm leveraging this beta here really quickly. Let's see if we can run. I have a breakpoint in here, but let's see if we can run really quickly to show I was going to code some stuff. See, and I'm even using the new Android emulator. I'm very excited about that, obviously. So the code that you see in here, because I know I'm out of time, but please definitely come talk to me afterwards. It actually is going to run across, leveraging the Xamarin Forms power. This code will run on your Windows Phone, your Android device, and your iOS, allowing me to pull from DynamoDB, allowing me to pull from S3, allowing me to do things like mobile push across the native platforms using AWS, using C#. All right? Any questions? I know I didn't leave much time. I got the 5-minute warning, but let me just at least give a few questions while I'm showing that. Did he? Okay, good. All right, so I still won't get to it in 5 minutes, but we'll go over anyway. So I have a shell here where I'm going to load a picture and a description coming from S3 and Dynamo. And when I click download, which is the code I was going to write, but I don't have time, but I will share this demo out, from S3 and Dynamo running across all 3 applications. So you just have a simple Xamarin Forms here, and let me show you where we were going with it to finish it. So if I hit download, there should be a break. The emulator. Okay, see, that's not us, emulator, but again, it's still cool. It came up faster. It's not, it's beta, it's preview. But so I'll just show you the normal code. So I have a typical content page, right? Demo page, content page. I have my binding context. I'm using DynamoDB and the document model because I was going to do the native object mapping. I'm going to use binding across. And so if we scroll down here, coming, you see I have my breakpoint where we were going to write code, where all I'm doing is attaching to my Dynamo client. You see it here. Those keys are, again, developer keys. They get deleted, so I don't feel bad showing to you. With a configuration that I can do dynamically, so you see my config file. And I was actually going to load the Xamarin Evolve pictures. And how are we going to do this? I know I don't have time, but this will be in the demo, so please try it out. I was going to dynamically load this from Visual Studio, create the S3 bucket in the DynamoDB from Visual Studio, and dynamically load those pictures that I took when I was excited at the keynote, so you could see this actually showing in my app. So please, we're going to push this demo out. I'm tweetable, Tara W. Please do so. Please tweet me. I'm sorry I ran out of time. Questions? How much longer do I have? 8 minutes. 8 minutes. Okay. All right, let's see what we can do in 8 minutes. It's not a lot of time, but 8 minutes is 8 minutes, right? All right, so if I go into the AWS Explorer, and this crashed earlier, but we're going to do it again. I'm going to paste in those keys, my fake keys. Let me get both of them so I can get it. And then we're going to build that table. And, of course, so it's going to take longer than 8 minutes. No. He's nice to me. Okay. So let me go out to quickly. Oh. Yeah, so you said the magic word. This demo is going to be out there. Please tweet me. I'm going to be out, like I say, I'm here all week. I'm from Atlanta, and find me in the halls. We'll run it together. You can upload your crazy pictures you took. Yeah, I forgot I was standing between alcohol. That's okay. I'm smart enough to know when to stop.